Well, citizens in Burkina Faso are speaking after Burkina Faso's government has dissolved political parties in the country. Now, according to analysts in Burkina Faso's politics, here is, the discussion from the political analyst in Burkina Faso, and then later on I will share a video with you what the people in Burkina Faso have said about this. Now, dissolution of political parties in Burkina Faso is opportunity for refoundation. That's according to Abdoulaye Nabloum, who is a political analyst in Burkina Faso. And I quote, this system did not allow the masses to express themselves. Instead, it enabled a minority to access key decision making positions. When you look at the elected heads of state in Africa and compare that to voter turnout rates in election, there is a clear disconnect and quote close. Well, I mean, this is really true. Now, the electoral system combined with decentralization has turned some elected officials into robbers of public funds. This is what also the expert added. Now, certain individuals saw this as an opportunity to plunder municipal governments surrounded by an abundance of councillors. When you look at the number of counselors, you sometimes wonder whether they are there to work to fill their own pockets. Now, let's play the video of how the citizens have reacted.
By saying that I believe they were initially suspended by the government, led by the president, yes, Captain Ibrahim Traore, there. The matter of suspending the activities of political parties and political formations was at the very least on the agenda. At the time, they actually seized power. So now, well, yesterday, we followed it, and they really did dissolve. So from a suspension to a dissolution, I think that these still a continuation. These are the rules that were adopted at the government level. So I think that this also happened because the Senegal was also dissolved. That is to say, the very body that is in charge of electoral issues, the governance and democracy was truly dissolved. So if it were dissolved, then all the ramifications that are political parties, political formations as well, would not have existed, since we had been told to cease all activities related to political conventions and political parties. We have noted the information from the Council of Ministers concerning the dissolution of political parties and the formation of political parties. It must be said that this is a welcome measure because since the arrival of these authorities in 2022, we have noted that they have suspended at one point the movements of political parties. That is to say, there is no longer any action, no activity of political parties in order to relaunch a new dynamic in our nation. Well, since there is no more action, there is no more activity, it was almost normal that we should dissolve, or at least dissolve political parties in order to give our nation a new face. This decree is beneficial in view of the consequences that these political parties have caused in recent years, and given that we are currently in a new dynamic of rebuilding the state, I think that we must start on a new basis where there is social cohesion, something that these political parties did not promote.
Well, that is good news because ultimately I think that there are too many political parties, even useless political parties, which, well, and then that political party, it is to get government funds. It is every year, every campaign. There, the political party has other political parties, even they created it, but it seems that it does not even exist. Though during elections, they don't even have a good candidate, and the voters don't even know him, so we can't vote for him. In addition, their political party is family run, creating this situation.
Historical precedent. You see that at one time, there were 114 parties in Burkina. Well, for a country like Burkina, I don't think we need 114 parties. If all these parties still want to organize and give their visions, make their contribution to the development of the country, I think that's 114 parties for a country like Burkina. Well, in my opinion, I think that's enough. In any case, it's too much. There you have it. If we have a part of the opposition and a part of the majority, I think that we can still have two major parties, even if these parties organize themselves so that they can really compete for the presidency, which is a public issue. Now we have 114 parties. Well, in my opinion, it's really, of course, look. During elections, for example, those who are in political parties of different persuasions, look at the differences that existed between them. So in reality, it was just to hold elections, to choose a candidate from one party, to manage all the Burkina here during the election. And there is a dislocation of people in these political parties. You see that? Well, it doesn't help Burkina. It doesn't help to strengthen this cohesion and this national unity. And yet, this cohesion and this national unity is a gas of good development for our country. Yeah, because that's the my opinion.
There is confusion between the population because even in your family, you may have someone who has a bias. Well, in friendship, too, but like in Africa here, we take politics as a war. There, even during discussions and political debates, it seems like everyone came to insult the other. So all this, to see the politicians there, they are really useful. There, that what I
Even said is, it even went so far as to gain funding from the state through the opposition. There was funding. The leader of the opposition, there was funding that was given to allow them to organize themselves from the moment that was dissolved there, and it would be wise to ask for an audit on the funds that these parties may have received, since generally when you receive funds, you organize activities. As it stands, a month should suffice. But I believe an audit of every single one of these 114 parties, considering their dissolution, is quite necessary now. And now, so I think that if that's the case, it has been reversed, since the law on general mobilization applies. So if it has been reversed and they have rolling stock that can perhaps be made available to the government, which currently needs equipment, well, I think there's no problem. Well, my opinion, I think there's no problem. But if we're going to conduct an audit to understand what resources have been given, what have these resources been used for in concrete terms, and now if they have rolling stock at their level, you can make it available to the government. Currently, I want us to first restructure the state, to start from a new base, for example, to hold national conferences to see how we are going to manage this issue of political parties in the future, because we need the collective opinions of several stakeholders in order to make the right choice. Party. And now well during future elections, those who manage to win the elections, those who will be considered as opposition. Instead of continuing to oppose while we are the winner, they should instead help the political party in power to better manage the country by offering their criticisms and not by trying to put obstacles in its way, as we have seen with other political parties in the past.